Have you ever, like, I don't know, landed in a totally new city or even just like a new part of town and you just feel completely lost?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That feeling of just like, where am I? What do I do?
Right. It's so disorienting. And today, that's exactly the kind of feeling we're diving into. But, well, with a magical twist. We're talking full-on sorcery, strange creatures, and a whole lot of what just happened.
And to guide us through this, we've got some pretty incredible material to work with.
Oh, for sure.
It's a collection of, I guess you could call them firsthand accounts, observations, really, from someone who's been dropped right into the thick of it. We're calling it texto colado.
Catchy, right.
And it all centers around this guy, Tom, as he tries to make sense of a world that's, well, let's just say it's a far cry from anything we're used to.
It definitely is. So what we're trying to do in this deep dive is walk in Tom's shoes, so to speak, as he takes his first steps in this really bizarre new reality.
Yeah, and it's about more than just the wow magic factor. It's about the challenges he runs into, the unexpected connections he makes, and ultimately it's about giving you a taste of what it's like to learn the rules of a game that's, well, constantly changing.
Exactly. And let's be real, those rules are, they're definitely leaning toward the magical side. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
So right off the bat, Tom finds himself in a new body. That's got to be disorienting enough on its own, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it seems like every time he wakes up, he's covered in this layer of dust. It's almost like he's being, I don't know, freshly sculpted or something.
It's a strange detail for sure.
But there is a little bit of a bright spot, I guess. He's got fresh clothes, his backpack appears, so at least he doesn't have to worry about where those came from.
True. But then we get this really interesting glimpse into his assumptions. He keeps talking about Car's spirit.
Right, car.
We don't know who or what Car is at this point, but Tom clearly expects some kind of guidance from this presence, like it's a given. He even speaks out loud, waiting for an answer.
Yeah.
And then, nothing. Just silence from a nearby statue. That moment, I think, is super important because it shows that his expectations are totally off. He was banking on this Car to, help him navigate this new world.
It's a bit of a rude awakening.
And it gets worse. Tom realizes he can't read anything. The local language is just a jumble of symbols to him. Those directions he got from Zaza, was it? They're useless without Car to translate.
Talk about a major roadblock. It really makes you think about how much we take for granted, just being able to understand basic things like signs and instructions.
For sure. And so what does he do? He decides, kind of reluctantly it seems, to reach out to this Trat person. He needs help, and he's got to find a way to get it.
Okay, so how does he even, call her? There's no mention of phones or anything like that.
Right. This is where things get interesting. He tries to contact her magically. He focuses on their first meeting place, tries to create some kind of mental connection and send a message.
Pretty resourceful, I gotta say.
Especially for someone who's, brand new to all this. He describes this smooth flow of energy, which is different from what he felt back on Earth.
Oh, yeah, that intense, kind of painful energy.
Exactly. And the message he's sending is supposedly really complex. So clearly he's still figuring out this whole magic communication thing.
So after that, we see him heading out to the city for the first time. It's either dawn or dusk, he's not even sure which. It really adds to that whole lost and confused vibe.
Doesn't it? And then, boom, he sees people flying. Actual people just soaring through the air. What he thought were kites are actually, well, magic users.
What?
Yeah. I mean, talk about a mind-blowing moment. It just throws everything he thought he knew about reality out the window. Zara is a place where the impossible is, well, possible.
It's a lot to take in. And then he keeps going, and it seems like it's full daylight now. He even sees the celestial body Jantir on the horizon.
I think he even makes some offhand comment about diplomacy and space travel, completely missing the fact that, they're already doing things way beyond that in Zara.
It's that kind of down-to-earth thinking that makes Tom so relatable, even when he's in these crazy situations. So he gets to the meeting spot, and Trat finally shows up. She's obviously in a hurry, but you can tell she's genuinely happy to see him.
That smile, really.
Yeah. But even their greeting hits a snag.
Oh, tell me about it. She tries to do some kind of, I don't know, local custom, maybe touch his arm or something, and Tom totally misses it.
Awkward.
It's a little thing, but it really highlights how different their worlds are. Even basic social interactions are totally different.
And then there's this whole thing about time.
Oh, yeah, the time thing. Tom thinks it's been 2 or 3 days since they last met,
Right.
and Trat's all a season ago. It's a huge discrepancy, and it suggests that time might flow differently in their respective worlds, which, when you think about it, is pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And of course, Tom has to apologize for his less than stellar timekeeping skills. He also notices that Trat's dressed differently this time. More formal, her hair's braided. Makes you wonder what she's up to.
Totally.
Mm.
And even though they've had this slight miscommunication about time, Trat is still willing to help Tom find the address he's looking for.
She's a good friend.
She is. But she does mention it's too early to go there, which, adds a little bit of mystery to the whole thing.
It definitely does. And here's where things get really interesting for us, the listeners. Tom mentions seeing a shantanyn.
Right, that creature that attacked him.
And Trat, she just laughs it off like, oh, those are just children's stories.
But we know better, don't we?
We do. It's one of those moments where the information we have as listeners clashes with what the characters know, and it makes you wonder what else Trat might be wrong about.
What else is lurking beneath the surface, right?
Exactly. And then Trat notices something about Tom. She sees the address paper and figures out that he can't read the local script.
Clever girl.
And she teases him about it, refuses to tell him what else is written on the paper.
Got to keep him on his toes. Exactly. So they start walking through the city, this place called Bushcar. And it sounds incredible. Tom describes these narrow streets packed with shops and cafes, and then these wider avenues that are like public squares. It's like a bustling marketplace, but with magic thrown in.
Sounds vibrant.
It does. And the buildings, oh man, the buildings. They're tall and colorful, and people are just flying in and out of the upper levels. It's such a cool blend of the familiar and the totally alien.
I'm trying to picture it.
It's like imagine your favorite city, but then add people casually zooming through the air on their way to work or whatever.
Wild.
Yeah.
And as they get closer to their destination, things start to change.
Oh yeah, the city starts to feel different.
Wider streets, bigger houses, statues of this car figure everywhere.
And plants. Plants that Tom has never seen before. It's like they're moving into a more, I don't know, prestigious part of town.
Yeah, or maybe a more important district, like a government area or something. And then they see this thing.
The Zeppelin.
Yeah, but it's not just any Zeppelin. It's being pulled by this creature.
Mm-hmm. A 6-winged, rainbow-scaled, it's serpentine.
Yeah, basically a giant flying snake, but with way more wings and a lot more color. Tom's totally flabbergasted, and honestly, who wouldn't be? It's the first real vehicle he's seen in Zara.
And Trat's just like, oh yeah, those are pretty common. They use them to transport important stuff.
Like, it's no big deal. It really shows you how quickly the extraordinary can become ordinary when you live in a world like Zara.
Definitely. So finally, they reach this house. It's got this garden full of blood-red flowers. Pretty striking image, don't you think?
Yeah, a little ominous, maybe. And Tom's super thankful for Trat's help. Her parting words are interesting, though. She's really happy to see him again. It definitely feels like there's something more going on between them.
It does. And when Tom hesitates before knocking on the door, Trat uses it as an opportunity to, well, let's be real, flirt. She wants him to find a way to thank her, and more importantly, to stay in touch.
She's not shy, is she?
Not at all. And then she just kisses him on the cheek and sprouts wings. Tom describes them as non-natural, whatever that means.
So wings that, like, don't belong on a normal human.
Exactly. And then she just flies away, leaving Tom standing there, probably speechless.
I can only imagine. So now Tom's finally at the house, and his observations about the neighborhood confirm that he's about to meet someone important. And then we get the introduction of Temulo'Gaul.
Who sounds like quite a character.
He's described as short, wrinkled, balding, with a small hat and these pale yellow eyes that seem to be looking right through Tom. And he's definitely suspicious. You can practically feel him sizing Tom up.
It's a tense moment for sure.
It is. Temulo'Gaul doesn't say anything, but he gestures for Tom to come inside. And the house, well, it sounds like something out of a storybook. It's huge, filled with flowers, with stairs, and bookshelves crammed with books and paintings everywhere.
It sounds like a place of knowledge, maybe even a little bit intimidating.
It does. And then we find out that Zaza, the one who gave Tom the directions, is Temulo'Gaul's granddaughter.
Uh-huh. So that explains a few things.
It does. And Temulo'Gaul even makes a comment about Zaza being vague, like he knows why she didn't give Tom all the details. It's a funny little moment that makes him seem a bit more human.
It does. And then he mentions Tom's abrupt departure during the locomotive ride.
Okay, so whatever this locomotive ride is, it was definitely not your average train journey.
Clearly not. And Temulo'Gaul's aware of it, which suggests that maybe interdimensional travel isn't completely unheard of in Zara.
Interesting.
It is. And then he just comes right out and says it. Tom's presence is proof of impossible travel. He asks where Tom came from, and the answer,
Earth.
which Temulo'Gaul interprets literally as terra, like the ground. Right away, you can see that there's a big difference in how they understand language, how they think about the world.
It's a reminder that communication can be tricky, even when you're both speaking the same language.
For sure. So Temulo'Gaul introduces himself, and then they get into this whole discussion about divinities.
This is where things get really interesting.
Right, because in Zara, there are 10 divinities. Jantir has 2.
Yeah.
And Earth, Earth, as far as Tom knows, has none. At least not in the way they understand them.
Right, not in this direct magical sense. And you can tell Temulo'Gaul is struggling to grasp that concept. Like, how can you live without divinities?
It's just so fundamental to their worldview, you know?
Exactly. And then, when Temulo'Gaul asks about how enchantments are done on Earth, Tom tries to explain science.
Which, of course, Temulo'Gaul interprets as science being the explanation for enchantments.
It's like they're speaking two different languages, not just literally, but in terms of how they understand the universe.
It is. And it's actually pretty cool how Temulo'Gaul tries to fit this new information, this science thing, into his existing framework. He's not just dismissing it out of hand.
He's open-minded, in a way. And then he wants to know how he knew Tom wasn't from around there.
Which brings us to one of the biggest reveals so far.
This is huge. Temulo'Gaul and his family, they have this strong connection to the healing arts.
Like a family tradition?
Right. And because of that, they can sense that Tom's body, this new body he's in, isn't actually alive. It's some kind of incredibly sophisticated copy.
It's a major twist. And it explains why Zaza sensed something different about Tom. He was alive, but without a heartbeat.
Creepy, right?
A little bit. So finally, Tom gets to the reason he came to see Temulo'Gaul.
He needs help learning to do magic, but more importantly, he needs to learn how to do it without hurting himself.
Right, because remember, every time he tries something back on Earth, he ends up with burns, cuts, all sorts of nasty injuries.
Right. And Temulo'Gaul, at first, he doesn't believe it's even possible for magic to harm the body. Like, that's just not a thing in Zara.
It goes against everything they understand about magic. But then he hears about what happened to Tom's original body, and you can tell he's starting to get it.
He's like, okay, this is weird, but I'm listening.
Exactly. And the thought of how much energy it would take to cause that kind of damage and how even healing magic couldn't fix it.
It suggests a whole other level of magical power, or maybe a completely different type of injury than they're used to dealing with.
For sure. Tom even wonders if he could use healing magic on others. It's a pretty practical thought, considering the situation. And then Temulo'Gaul asks about dangers on Earth. Since there are no divinities to protect people.
Right. And Tom, well, he drops a bit of a bombshell. He tells Temulo'Gaul about the shantanyn that's after him.
The same creature that Trat dismissed as a myth. It's another one of those moments where we, the listeners, know something the characters don't. And it's pretty clear that this shantanyn is bad news.
Understatement of the year.
Right. So Temulo'Gaul, he's skeptical at first, but he listens to Tom's story. And then he does something really interesting. He writes down an enchantment and gives it to Tom.
Nice. Little magical help.
Except for one problem. Tom can't read it. The language barrier strikes again.
Talk about frustrating.
Tell me about it. But Temulo'Gaul, he's a quick thinker.
Huh.
He grabs a book, assuming that Tom's grammar lessons back on Earth will have given him some foundation for understanding language. It's a bit of a leap of faith, but hey, why not?
It's worth a shot.
So Tom's first language lesson begins. And it's not your typical repeat after me kind of thing.
Definitely not.
Temulo'Gaul tells him to feel the book, to sense the energy flowing from him through the book and back. It sounds like something out of a meditation class.
But it works. Tom feels this tingling energy, just like Temulo'Gaul described. It seems like his unusual body is pretty receptive to magic, despite coming from a world without it.
It is. And then he has to repeat this phrase. It's an invocation of Gaul, one of the divinities, asking for grace and for knowledge to fill the book.
Okay, now we're talking magic.
Right, and the effect is instant. Tom feels this surge of energy. The pages of the book start flipping like crazy, and then there's this bright yellow flash.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a pretty dramatic display of magic. And Temulo'Gaul, he's impressed. Apparently, this kind of thing doesn't usually work on the first try. It seems like Tom might have a natural talent for magic.
A hidden sorcerer, perhaps?
Maybe. So, what was all that about? Well, it turns out Temulo'Gaul just copied the entire book into Tom's mind.
Wait, what?
Yeah. The idea is that Tom can study the language back on Earth. Problem solved, right?
Except for one tiny detail.
He still can't read it.
Exactly.
Classic Tom. Solve one problem, create another.
It happens to the best of us, and Temulo'Gaul's all you'll figure it out. But you can tell he doesn't really get it.
He doesn't. Tom even tries to explain the idea of a Rosetta Stone. It's something that could help translate the language.
But Temulo'Gaul just can't fathom the idea of a language being lost, not in a world with divinities.
Right, because for him, divinities represent this eternal, unchanging force. But Tom makes a good point. Even with divinities, languages change, they evolve, sometimes they even disappear.
It's a very human thing, really.
It is. So moving on, Temulo'Gaul explains how to get the information out of his head and onto paper back on Earth. It involves visualizing it, flowing into a blank book, and speaking a certain phrase. Pretty straightforward, right?
Sounds easy enough.
And then, Tom's alarm clock goes off.
Back to reality.
Back to his bedroom, his mom waking him up, telling him he overslept. It's such a jarring transition from this world of magic and mystery back to the mundane routine of his life on Earth.
Saturday morning, no less.
Exactly. But even though he's back, he can still picture the book in his mind. He needs a blank book, like right now. But he's not sure if it'll work without the specific enchantment Temulo'Gaul used.
So he heads out to find a book, and his sister, Tiana, well, she's acting a bit strange.
A little too interested in what he's up to.
Right. She's all affectionate and asking questions, and you can tell she suspects something's going on.
Like a good sister should.
Exactly. Tom tries to play it cool, but his vague answers only make her more curious. And then she offers to drive him, which, is never a bad thing.
Especially when you need to go book shopping.
Exactly. And even their mom gets in on the action, teasing Tom about his hair and his lack of a girlfriend. It's a funny little family moment.
It is. And on the drive, Tom actually tells Tiana a bit about what's been happening. He gives her the condensed version of his adventures in Zara.
The I went to another dimension and learned magic story.
Right. But Tiana, well, she's not buying it.
Yeah.
She's skeptical, to say the least.
Understandably so.
Oh, for sure. So they arrive at this stationery store, Pina Colorada, and Tom's looking for a specific type of book, something that looks like an old journal.
Like, the older the better.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, of course, Tiana's still peppering him with questions. She wants to know if he travels every time he sleeps, what happens during his naps, the important stuff.
The burning questions, right. So Tom finds a nice leather-bound journal, but it's a bit pricey.
He's a man of simple tastes, even when it comes to magical notebooks.
He is. So he decides to go for something more affordable. He even tells Tiana that it might be a magic thing, like the spell only works with certain types of books.
Gotta follow the magical guideline.
Exactly. And Tiana, being the awesome sister that she is, agrees to pay if he buys them a treat from a nearby bakery.
Chocolate croissants and sodas, to be precise.
Sounds delicious. So they get their snacks and head to this vacant lot.
Privacy is key for magical experiments, right?
Especially when you're not sure what's going to happen. Tom's first attempt to transfer the knowledge into the book is a total bust. He just imagines it flowing in, but nothing happens.
It seems magic isn't always as simple as just thinking about it.
It does take a bit more effort than that. So he remembers what Temulo'Gaul said about feeling the energy flow. And this time, as he focuses on the book, he starts to feel this intense pressure building inside him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this doesn't sound good. He closes his eyes, pictures the information flowing into the book, and then Tiana screams.
Book's on fire.
Not just on fire, but really on fire. Tiana tries to put it out with sand, but it's no use.
Magic fire apparently doesn't play by the same rules as regular fire.
It definitely doesn't. And Tom, well, he admits that he hasn't quite mastered this whole book copying thing yet. They're both in shock, and Tiana even makes a sarcastic comment about the situation.
Which, honestly, is a pretty understandable reaction. I mean,
Yeah.
your brother just set a book on fire with his mind.
It's a lot to process. So what do? They end up using Tom's soda to put out the flames.
It's a funny contrast, isn't it? Imagine fire extinguished by a sugary beverage.
It is. But the important thing is that Tiana finally believes him. She sees the evidence with her own eyes.
No more skepticism. She's got a magic-wielding brother.
Exactly. But then she notices something else. Tom's hands and arms are covered in burns. Apparently, this is a pretty common side effect of his magical mishaps.
He said it happens most of the time.
Which is, a little bit concerning.
It's just a little bit. They're both worried about how their mom's going to react, so Tiana sends her a text explaining why they're late.
Smart move. So after all that excitement, Tiana decides to take Tom somewhere special.
It's a board game store called Tabula Quadrata, which apparently means square table in the local language.
And it's hidden away above some other shops Tom had no idea it even existed.
It sounds like a cool place. Lots of velvet-covered tables, shelves full of games, and this friendly owner named Paulo who wears a bright pink cap.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Right, and Tiana's obviously a regular there. She greets Paulo like an old friend and introduces Tom.
It's nice to see her in her element, And Tom's surprised. He had no idea she was into board games.
I think he even makes a comment about how he prefers video games, like it's some kind of competition.
Sibling rivalry never gets old.
So Tiana rents this game called Res Arcana, and she even invites Paulo to play with them.
That's sweet of her. What kind of game is it?
It's a strategy game. You play as mages, you have special abilities, you have to manage resources, and the goal is to get the most points.
Sounds complicated.
It is, a little bit. But Tiana explains it all to Tom, and they start playing.
So who wins?
Paulo wins the first game. Tom's still trying to figure it all out.
He'll get there.
He does. In the second game, he starts to get the hang of it. And they end up spending hours at the store, just playing games and hanging out.
It sounds like a fun afternoon.
It does. And Tom even admits that he had fun. He totally forgot about all the weird stuff happening in Zara while he was playing games with his sister.
Sometimes a little distraction is all you need.
Exactly. And as they're leaving, Tiana mentions that the store is a good place to make friends, which surprises Tom. He's like, why didn't you tell me about this place before? And it kind of makes them both realize that they don't always share everything with each other.
It's a sweet moment between them.
It is. Tiana even invites him to come back anytime, which is nice.
It is.
So they get home, and their mom has dinner waiting for them. Tiana goes off to study, and Tom hangs out in the backyard with Yoda.
Yoda.
I guess that's his pet or something.
Okay.
But even though he's trying to relax, Tom can't stop thinking about Trat. He's thinking about their date, wondering what the social customs are in Zara.
Like, should he bring a gift?
Exactly. He even remembers this awkward experience he had with a girl named Mandy back on Earth.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it's like all this magical stuff is actually making his life more complicated, more stressful.
That's not ideal.
Not at all. But he can't get Trat out of his head. He even thinks about using the message enchantment to contact her while he's awake.
Risky move?
It is. And of course, things don't go exactly as planned.
What happens?
Well, he tries to visualize Trat, but in his mind, he accidentally exaggerates her features. Like he makes them bigger than they actually are.
Interesting.
And the moment he focuses on sending the message, this wave of energy blasts through his arm. He manages to send a simple hi and a picture of his house. But the pain doesn't stop right away.
So what's the damage?
He's got cuts all over his arm, like a lot of them. They're not deep, but they're definitely noticeable. And he knows he has to hide them from his family.
Can't exactly explain those away as, like, paper cuts.
Right. So he patches himself up as best he can. He's exhausted, so he decides to take a nap, just to see if he'll travel to Zara during the day.
Does he?
He does. But it's not Zara this time. He finds himself back in that mysterious space with the mage. And the mage, well, he's not exactly sympathetic about Tom's injuries. He's more amused than anything.
A little insensitive, maybe?
Maybe. But then he drops a bombshell. He tells Tom he won't be going to Zara this time. She's going somewhere closer. And he even makes a comment about Trat, like he knows what's going on.
Creepy. But where is he going?
We don't know yet. But the mage starts talking about magic, about how the true power lies in imagination.
Imagination.
Yeah. He even brings up SpongeBob SquarePants as an example. I know, right? It's completely bizarre. But the mage explains that different divinities teach different languages of magic. Some use words, some use gestures, some use runes, whatever.
So there are different ways to do magic.
Exactly. And the mage says there are actually infinite ways to achieve the same result. You could use a wand, you could draw a magic circle, you could probably even sing a song if you knew the right one.
That's amazing.
It is. But he also explains why certain methods become traditional. It's about cultural understanding, about building on the knowledge that's been passed down through generations. And then he gets back to Tom's little message mishap.
The cuts all over his arm incident.
Right. He says that Tom's method wasn't wrong, exactly, just not how it's usually done. And he sees something interesting in the way humans approach magic. We don't have all those preconceived notions, so we're more open to new possibilities.
That's a cool way to look at it.
It is. Tom even asks why his imagined magic, like the book thing, doesn't always work. And the mage explains that prepared enchantments are easier because they carry the weight of tradition, the power of shared understanding. But imagined magic, that takes real skill, real control.
It's the difference between following a recipe and creating a new dish from scratch.
Exactly. So the mage wraps up this little lesson by telling Tom to pay attention to the reasons behind the methods he's being taught. And then he says something really cryptic about their minds merging in the future and the unimaginable things they'll be able to do. And he ends it all with this creepy smile.
It can't be good.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But before we can dwell on that, the mage announces a new mission for Tom. And it's a weird one.
Lay it on me.
He's being sent to another world. He has to find a 3-story house, go to the top floor, and find a very large wardrobe.
Okay. And what's in the wardrobe?
Something that looks like a pair of glasses. But here's the catch. Tom has to cut himself open and put the glasses inside.
Hold on, what?
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
What are these glasses? Why does he have to do that?
Okay, so picture this. You're drifting off, right? You're about to fall asleep. And bam, suddenly you're in a conversation with, well, yourself. I mean, it looks like you, it sounds like you, but this you is talking about magic like it's totally normal. It's like, brewing a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah.
And that's where we find Tom. I mean, that's his reality. And we've got these accounts, these sources, and they're kind of like looking into a dream. We're seeing this weird magical encounter and then this crazy mission he gets sent on.
And the thing is, we're just thrown right into this world. It works by rules that, I mean, we don't know them yet, but it's like everything makes sense there. It's got these two parts. We've got Tom talking to, well, himself about magic. And then there's this whole other thing with Mandy. It's like we're holding these two totally different pieces, and they're part of this giant, confusing puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. So to everyone listening, think of this deep dive as us trying to put this puzzle together. So first of all, what are the rules? Like, what are the basics of magic in Tom's world? What's the deal with this weird cask he's been given? I mean, he's in this messed up building, who knows where. And then how does Mandy fit into all of this? She seems to be living a normal life. It's like starting a fantasy book in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And we're figuring out the story as we go.
And it all starts with this conversation about what magic is. What
Right.
really stood out to you there?
For me, it was that idea that a wizard's real power comes from their imagination, not from like some old book of spells. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But then it gets even more interesting. There are these, well, they call them divinities, and they each teach like a different way of doing magic. Different words, different movements, even different symbols, like runes.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that these divinities, they're not like the gods we think of. They're more like the original sources of magic, or maybe some really old wizards who figured it out first. And what they taught became the different ways to use magic. So like using a wand or drawing a circle, those are just different styles of the same magic,
Right, and the sources say there could be tons of ways to do the same spell. But the thing is, everyone learns magic the same way because of tradition. Like, imagine if musicians only knew a few notes. They could still make music, but think of all the possibilities they'd be missing.
That makes what the mage says about Tom's message enchantment even more interesting. Tom's already doing magic in his own way. He's not just following the rules. It's like he's already composing his own music.
Here's where it gets really cool, though, because Tom asks, if magic is all about imagining, why doesn't it always work? He even says he once set a book on fire just by thinking about it. And the explanation is that the traditional spells, they're powerful because so many people have used them. It's like a belief that's built up over time and that makes them work better.
Exactly. Think of it like a path through the woods. The more people walk on it, the easier it is to follow. So imagination is the power, but you need skill to use it right. It's like having electricity, but you need to know how to wire a house to make it work.
And the mage says that Tom's way of using his imagination, that's the future of magic, especially, when he matures and his mind merges with the mage's, that unlocks all sorts of new possibilities. It's like he's saying, look, our traditions are important, but your way of thinking, your imagination, that's what will really change things.
It suggests that magic is always evolving, and Tom's creativity could change everything. It makes you wonder, is that why he's in this situation? Is it like a test to help him grow?
So, about that situation. Before Tom ends up in this other world, the mage gives him some pretty strange instructions. He has to find a 3-story house, go to the top floor, although it gets a little confusing later. Then he has to find this big wardrobe, and inside there's a pair of glasses he needs. I mean, it already sounds pretty weird, right?
Yeah, and if that was it, you could just say it's a weird magic task. But then the mage tells him to cut himself open and put the glasses inside his body. I mean, that's a little creepy, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The text even says, "Enfi dentro do seu corpo," which means, like, shove them inside. And why? because the glasses are magic and they can translate languages. And somehow that's safer than Tom trying to do it with his own magic. It's like the mage is worried he'll mess up his brain or something.
It shows that messing with your own mind with magic is really dangerous, especially for someone who's still learning. Using a magical object, even if it means doing something gross like that, is actually the safer way.
So then Tom finds himself in this ruined building. And it sounds really creepy. It's all broken down, empty, and instead of a moon, there's this asteroid belt in the sky.
Yeah.
It's not a very welcoming place.
Yeah, the text says it's oppressive, dark, and seemingly lifeless. It feels really isolated and dangerous. And then Tom starts to change. He gets these black scales, claws, and his hands, they only have 3 fingers now. It's like he's becoming something else entirely.
And it gets even weirder. As he's exploring this building, he finds skeletons. And guess what? They have the same claws and long skulls as he does now. It's like a little welcome present.
Just a really important detail. It tells us that Tom isn't the first one to go through this transformation. Whatever happened to this world, it happened to things like him too.
He goes up to the 2nd floor, and it's a little bit better than the first. But then he finds more skeletons just chilling in the hallway, real classy decor. And then he finds this big wardrobe. And get this, the doors open by themselves when he gets close. Like the building itself is doing magic.
Yeah, like it's alive. Or at least there's some leftover magic hanging around. It makes you feel like Tom's in a place he doesn't understand at all.
Inside the wardrobe, it's a mess. There's all sorts of weird stuff in there.
Yeah.
But he finds the glasses. They're like metal with lenses.
Mm.
And then, this is the part that might make you cringe, he just cuts open his leg with one of his claws. Like it's no big deal. It shows how strong he is now, I guess.
Right. It doesn't even seem to bother him. It's like he's not even human anymore. He shoves the glasses in the cut, makes sure they're in there, and then he just passes out. So much for a smooth mission.
Yeah, it's like he's really powerful now, but also still vulnerable. It's crazy that something as simple as understanding a language is so dangerous for him in this new world.
It really is. And now let's switch gears and talk about Mandy. She's at home, texting her friend April, just hanging out. It's so normal compared to what Tom's going through. It's kind of jarring.
Yeah, totally different vibe. While Tom is in another dimension, Mandy is just dealing with everyday stuff. It makes you think, are these stories going to connect somehow?
That's the thing with stories like this. They make you think they're separate, but then they surprise you.
So Mandy overhears her dad on the phone. He's worried about something. He mentions old documents and maybe a corpse. And Mandy didn't even hear it clearly, which makes it even creepier.
Right. It's like a tiny detail, but it makes you wonder, what if it's important later?
Then her dad leaves suddenly, and her mom is freaking out. And then Mandy sees something weird outside, but she thinks it's just a cat. And then her friend April texts her and says there's a kitten in her yard. It's a weird coincidence.
These animal things, it's like they're connected to Tom somehow, like little hints about what's happening to him.
Okay, so let's try to put it all together. We've got this world where magic comes from imagination, but it's also limited by tradition. Then there's Tom, with his strange mission, his transformation, and this scary new world. And back home, there's Mandy, with her dad's weird phone call and these mysterious animals.
The big takeaways here are that magic has so much potential, but people are still figuring it out. Tom's mission is super dangerous, and this new world is full of mysteries.
And that leads us to a question for you. Could the corpse Mandy's dad mentioned be one of the skeletons Tom found? And what about the animals? Is Tom's new form just a disguise, or is it something more? Is it connected to what happened to that world?
Maybe Tom's transformation is actually the key to surviving in that place. Maybe he's becoming like the creatures who lived there before. And maybe, just maybe, those weird animals Mandy and April saw are signs that Tom's journey is affecting their world too.
It really does seem like Tom's story and Mandy's story are connected somehow. What do you think? Are they just coincidences, or are they clues to something bigger? Maybe it's time to take another look at the sources and see what else we can find.